Hey everyone, Ryan here, or M&R Productions, and welcome to my summer 2021 LEGO Star Wars set predictions. So, as I'm recording this, it's early December 2020, and I have no inside information on what's going to be coming out in summer of 2021, so I wanted to do a predictions video about what I think we'll be seeing in what will probably be an August 1st release for 2021, bar the UCS set, but we'll get to that. Now, given what we know for the winter and spring waves of 2021 with set numbers, we can get a pretty good idea of how many summer sets we're going to end up getting. So, starting with set 75308 and going through set 75316 should give us a pretty solid idea, because set 75317 and 318 were the Mandalorian brickheads and the child from 2020, so that is kind of where the set numbers would stop for the summer wave of next year, because those were late additions to this year. Now, of course, much like with this summer and with those two particular sets, we could see sets added on to the end of this list. It's just hard to know at this point how many sets LEGO is going to make, but I do have a pretty good idea given what we're working with. So at set 75308, I'm predicting it'll cost $20 and be a Mandalorian Darksaber dual set, or potentially a dual set from Chapter 13 with Ahsoka and the other lady whose name escapes me right now, but I think it's possibly more likely that we would see the Darksaber with Moff Gideon and maybe the Mando figure with his pure Beskar fighting stick, and we could see those two face off in a 1v1 dual set, kind of like the lightsaber dual sets of yesteryear. That's just the only thing that I think makes sense for $20 this summer. I mean, there's a lot of other things they could do, I suppose, but for Mandalorian being as popular as it is, that would be pretty cool to me, getting the two figures. I don't know what the scenery would look like, and as of the recording of this video, this duel hasn't happened yet that I'm predicting, so we'll see if it even happens in the show, but if it does, I wouldn't be surprised if LEGO went out of their way to make a set for it. Set 75309, again, these are fully predictions, not rumors, so don't run with them and to start saying that they're coming next summer, is a $40 B-Wing Starfighter, and part of me wants to say, hey, this is more likely for 2022, we could see a B-Wing and TIE Interceptor, kind of like we saw with the X-Wing and TIE Fighter. It would make more sense, I guess, but I feel like LEGO's just gonna fast track something like this, a downscaled B-Wing at $40, and it would include the B-Wing pilot, maybe some special episode 6 figure we haven't gotten before, kind of like we saw with General Dodonna in the X-Wing from earlier in 2021, but who knows. I wouldn't be surprised if there were only 3 figures in this set. I'm not exactly sure who the third figure would be. 75310 being the duel on Exegol would make a lot of sense for me at $60 or $70. It's a set that for some reason LEGO hasn't done yet, but to me it wouldn't make sense if they just never did it. The duel on Exegol is like the final penultimate duel of all of Star Wars, essentially, and for LEGO to just not make a toy based on it just doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, they should do it. There also is no episode 9 Palpatine yet, so getting an episode 9 Palpatine in summer of 2021, while extremely late to the game, yeah, it's about par for the course for LEGO, let's be honest. The set wouldn't be much. I mean, it would be kind of reminiscent of some of the bigger duel sets that we've gotten for $60-$70 in the more recent years, kind of like the Snoke's Throne Room. Like, it wouldn't be a substantial build. You'd basically just get the arm that Palpatine is on and maybe some scenery for Kylo Ren and Rey to work around with, and maybe even a couple of Palpatine's crazy looking red guards, so we could have something like that. But outside of that, it's not going to be too special of a set. It's just going to be one of those overpriced dual sets or throne room sets that we've been getting. For set 75311 at $80, I'd pick the Imperial Transport Escape, or at least that's what I'd call it. I don't know what exactly the Imperial Transport they're flying around in is, but it would include the transport, obviously, which is based on the Mandalorian episode where they go back to Navarro. It would have a scout bike to chase after it so that there's some sort of story to the set, and it would of course include a scout trooper to be on that scout bike. And then we'd have the Mythrol, we'd have Cara Dune, and we'd have Greef Karga as the 3 characters that piloted the Imperial transport as they escaped the Imperial base on Navarro. It's a set that makes a lot of sense for me for LEGO to make, both because it's a story aspect, and LEGO loves making little stories for kids within their sets a lot of the time. It introduces a new character that we haven't had before in a Mythrol. We could possibly see a Cara Dune redesign, maybe Greef Karga with some printed legs would be great. But yeah, that's kind of what I see a set like this looking like at $80. You know, it could be more expensive, could be less expensive, but I would honestly be pretty shocked if we don't see this set in some shape or form in the summer of 2021. Now, next up on my list, it's from the end of that same episode at $160 at 75312, Moff Gideon's Cruiser. And again, these are just predictions, I'm probably wrong, but for the fun of it. Moff Gideon's cruiser shown off pretty cool in that same episode, and it could include a couple of the Death Troopers, of course. Certainly would have to include Moff Gideon. You could certainly also include his officer that we see speaking. She seems like a pretty obvious choice for a character, and then maybe a couple of stormtroopers. And honestly, it'd be even cooler if they included Baby Yoda and had a little interrogation room where Baby Yoda was throwing the stormtroopers around and making them hit the wall. Like something like that within Moff Gideon's cruiser would make a ton of sense. And yeah, that's a good figure selection, I think, for a $160 set with 7 figures. I think that works. So working off last summer, I can make some pretty nice educated guesses here because we have 4 sets left before we hit our bar at 75317, where they would have already filled out set numbers 2 for 2021 before they said, hey, we need to make these sets and fast track them with the Mando and the child brickheads and the child buildable character. So that leaves us with set 75313 and then 314, 315, 316. Now, if LEGO does the same thing they did last year and makes 3 store exclusive sets, one for Walmart, one for Target, and one for Amazon, then that would make sense. That set 75314, 5, and 6 would be those set exclusives, and 75313 would be the second half year UCS set, because that's what it was like this year in 2020, where we had all of the summer sets lead up to the Mos Eisley Cantina 75290, and then the 3 numbers immediately following the direct-to-consumer set for September of 2020 were the store exclusive sets. So I'm just kind of working off that same idea. Now, it's possible the set numbers may be different, but we should, as we do every year, get a second half UCS set, and my prediction for that, ladies and gentlemen, drum roll please, a UCS Death Star. Yes, the UCS Death Star is just retiring at the end of 2020, but LEGO seldom goes long without selling a Death Star. They released the original UCS Death Star in 2005, which retired, I believe, at the end of 2007. Of course, later in 2008, they released the UCS Death Star with all the characters and whatnot. That retired at the end of 2015. The very next year, in 2016, they released the remake of that Death Star. But I believe if they do another Death Star in 2021, it's going to be a massive paneled version. Now, it could potentially include characters and whatnot. I don't know. It could basically be the Death Star we've been getting, but given panels and then souped up a little bit to make it look better in that way. It could also be a Death Star where it's just a display Death Star. This is kind of my preference, and the way that LEGO is trending would make a lot of sense, that they're going to go in and make an 18+ style Death Star, UCS, whatever, that is very much like the Star Destroyer or the Falcon, where it's mostly just for display, right? There's not going to be an interior. That's not for play. It's a display model. That's what it is. So I think it's going to happen. I really think there's going to be a Death Star coming out next year because all of the trends point towards it. LEGO has, I don't even know if they've ever gone a year without selling a Death Star. Prior to 2005, obviously, before they had one made to begin with, they did. But ever since they started, it's been a pretty obvious trend, and I wouldn't be surprised if summer 2021, we get a Death Star. It makes a lot of sense. It'd go really well alongside the Star Destroyer that's already available. Of course, it would go well with a UCS Falcon because they're just 2 of the most iconic ships or things in Star Wars. So we'll see what happens, but I think a UCS Death Star would make a lot of sense. And if we look at what they did with the Star Destroyer, well, if we look at the UCS Star Destroyer that was for display in 2005 when it came out, it retailed for $300. The new one came out retailed for $700. So if the original Death Star retailed for $300 and they were going to basically remake that and soup it up and make it bigger and better and more detailed and whatnot with modern design techniques and pieces and whatnot, I would guess it would cost about $700 as well. But that's my summer UCS set prediction, the Death Star. Moving on, set 75314, 315, and 316, I believe would end up being store exclusives. We've been getting 3 store exclusives. Last year we got one for Walmart, Amazon, and Target, and I'm going to assume the same for 2021. For Walmart, for $100, again, I just kind of went with the same price tags as last year. I'm going to guess, hot take, Palpatines Arrest V2. This year they got the Death Star Final Duel V2. Next year, could they do Palpatine's Arrest V2? It's been very much demanded by the fans, so we'll see if LEGO's been listening, and if they are, this is what I would see them doing for the Walmart store exclusive. It would include all the same characters that the original set did. It would just include a more modernized build and cost a little bit more money, which makes a ton of sense and is totally fair. For the Amazon exclusive for $130, part of me thinks this is going to be a set that we'll see farther down the line, but it's been so long that it doesn't make sense to me that they haven't done a Battle of Endor yet, and could Amazon swoop in and get that as a store exclusive? Battle of Endor would be my prediction for the Amazon store exclusive, and then for the Target store exclusive at $100, a bit downsized over the previous version, would be a Jabba's sail barge. So we'll see what comes of that, but that would be my suggestion for a Target exclusive for 2021 in the summer wave. Hopefully with a big emphasis on good figures. I feel like the last set didn't have enough minifigures, although I would be surprised if they put more on a newer set that costs less. So that is all my main predictions. Now, there could be more sets after set number 75319, because there could be late additions to the wave like they did in summer of 2020. There were a bunch of extra sets that came after that were either Comic-Con exclusives, so we could see stuff like that as far as 2021 sets. Now, that could be pending whether or not the con actually happens, and the way those are made available is going to vary, but as far as like actual sets existing, there probably will be some. What are your predictions for summer 2021? We'll find out just how abysmally incorrect all of these are very soon. I'm sure it'll all be original trilogy and have nothing to do with Mandalorian, but hey, one can dream. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.